Days turned into weeks, and Rita still found herself in a daze. The shock of discovering both her and her best friend's pregnancy by Henry had hit her hard. She couldn't seem to shake off the constant feeling of betrayal and hurt. It was like a huge rock was constantly weighing down on her chest. Henry had been trying to reach out to her, and Benita had been calling and sending messages as well. Rita had not been in the right frame of mind to speak with them, but she knew that she couldn't avoid them forever. One evening, Rita decided it was time to face the situation head-on. She picked up her phone and called Henry. "Hey, Henry," she said, her voice still laced with uncertainty. "Rita, I'm glad you called. I've been worried about you," Henry responded. "I know. And I'm sorry for shutting you out. It's just been hard," Rita said, taking a deep breath. "I understand. I really do. But Rita, we need to talk about this. We can't just keep avoiding each other and hope it goes away," Henry said, sounding more serious now. "I know. I just don't know where to begin," Rita admitted, feeling helpless. "I do. Rita, I love you. I know I messed up, and I can't change that, but I want to make things right. I want us to be together and raise our children together," Henry said, his voice filled with sincerity. Rita was torn between wanting to believe him and being afraid of getting hurt again. "Henry, I want to believe you, but how can I trust you again after everything that has happened?" "I know it won't be easy, but we can work on it together. I'll do everything in my power to make it up to you, Rita. I promise," Henry said, his voice full of determination. Rita was quiet for a few moments, thinking about what he had said. "Okay, Henry. I'm willing to try, but we need to take things slow. I need time to heal and figure things out," she finally said, her voice still shaky. "I understand, Rita. We'll take it one step at a time, and I'll be here for you every step of the way," Henry said, sounding relieved. Rita felt a glimmer of hope as she hung up the phone. Maybe things could work out between them after all, but deep down, she knew that the road ahead would not be easy. There were still so many things to figure out and so many emotions to sort through. But for the first time in weeks, Rita felt like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Henry couldn't shake the guilt he felt for betraying Rita and his unborn child. He also couldn't ignore the fact that Benita was carrying his child, and he felt a sense of responsibility towards her and their unborn baby. He was torn between two women he cared deeply about, both of whom were carrying his child. He spent the next few days in a state of turmoil, trying to figure out what to do. He couldn't bear the thought of losing either Rita or Benita, but he knew that he couldn't have them both. He needed to make a decision, but he didn't know where to start. One night, he went over to Benita's apartment to talk to her. They sat down on the couch, and Henry took her hand in his. "Benita, I'm so sorry for everything that's happened," he said. "I never meant to hurt you. I care about you and our child, and I want to do right by both of you. But I also care about Rita, and I don't want to lose her either." Benita looked at him, tears in her eyes. "I know. Henry, I care about you too, and I want to be with you. But I also know that Rita is important to you, and I don't want to stand in the way of that." Henry took a deep breath. "I don't know what to do, Benita. I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions. I want to be with you and raise our child together, but I also want to make things right with Rita and our child." Benita looked at him with understanding. "I know it's not easy, Henry, but you need to make a decision. You can't keep stringing us both along. We both deserve to know where we stand." Henry nodded, feeling overwhelmed. "I know, Benita. I just need some time to think. I'll talk to Rita and see where we stand." The next day, Henry called Rita and asked to meet with her. They met at a quiet cafe, and Henry took a deep breath before speaking. "Rita, I know I messed up. I don't know what came over me. But I love you, and I want to make things right. I want to be there for you and our child. And I want to raise our child together." Rita looked at him, tears in her eyes. "I don't know if I can trust you again, Henry. I don't know if I can forgive you for what you did." Henry took her hand in his. "I understand, Rita, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. But I also need to tell you that Benita is carrying my child. I care about her and our baby, and I want to be there for them too." Rita felt a wave of shock and hurt wash over her. What am I supposed to do with that information, Henry? You expect me to just accept that you're having a child with my best friend? Henry shook his head. No, I don't expect you to accept anything. I just want to be honest with you and let you know where I stand. I care about both of you. Rita, I know it's complicated, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. Rita sat back in her chair, feeling more confused than ever. She didn't know how to feel about any of this. Part of her wanted to forgive Henry and try to make things work, but another part of her felt hurt and betrayed by him. Henry watched Rita, waiting for her to say something. Anything. But she remained silent, lost in her thoughts. Finally, she spoke. Henry, I don't know what to do. This is all too much for me to handle. I need time to think about everything. Henry nodded, understanding. I get it, Rita. Take all the time you need. I just want you to know that I care about you, and I want to do whatever it takes to make things right. Rita nodded, still feeling overwhelmed. She got up from her chair and hugged Henry briefly before walking away, leaving him sitting alone at the table. Henry felt a sense of emptiness as he watched her leave. He knew he had a long road ahead of him, trying to make things right with both Rita and Benita, but he was willing to do whatever it took to make things work. Over the next few days, Henry spent time reflecting on his actions and what he wanted for his future. He knew he couldn't keep stringing both women along and that he needed to make a decision. Finally, he came to a conclusion. He called both Rita and Benita and asked to meet with them separately. When he met with Rita, he took a deep breath before speaking. Rita, I know I messed up, and I understand if you can't forgive me for what I did, but I want you to know that I care about you and our child, and I want to be there for both of you. Rita looked at him, waiting for him to continue. Henry took her hand in his. But I also care about Benita and our child, and I've made a decision. I want to be with Benita and raise our child together. I'll still be there for you and our child, but I want to be honest with you and let you know where my heart is. Rita felt a sense of sadness wash over her, but she also felt a sense of relief. At least now she knew where she stood with Henry. Henry met with Benita next and told her the same thing. Benita, I care about you and our child, and I want to be with you. I know it's not easy, and I'll do whatever it takes to make things work between us. But I also want to be there for Rita and our child. I'll still be there for them, but I want to be honest with you and let you know where my heart is. Benita looked at him, tears in her eyes. I understand, Henry. And I want to be with you too, but we need to make sure we're doing what's best for our children. Henry nodded, feeling a sense of relief now that he had made his decision. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was willing to do whatever it took to make things work with both women and their children. From that day on, Henry tried his best to split his time and attention between Rita and Benita, making sure he was there for both of them and their children. It wasn't easy, and there were times when he felt overwhelmed, but he knew he had made the right decision. He was committed to being the best father he could be to both children and the best partner he could be to both Rita and Benita. Henry knew that his situation was complicated and that he needed to be honest with both Rita and Benita. He didn't want to hurt either of them, but he knew that he couldn't keep them both in his life. He needed to make a decision and stick to it. He continued to talk to both women, trying to figure out what he wanted and what was best for everyone involved. He knew that his actions had consequences and that he needed to take responsibility for them. As time went on, Henry realized that he had strong feelings for both Rita and Benita. He cared deeply about both of them and wanted to be there for both of his children. He knew that he couldn't have it all, but he didn't know how to choose between them. One day, he sat down with both Rita and Benita and tried to have an honest conversation with them. I know that this is complicated, he said, but I care about both of you and I want to be there for both of my children. I know that I can't have it all, but I don't know how to choose between you. Rita looked at him with tears in her eyes. Henry, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be in a relationship with someone who has a child with my best friend. Benita nodded in agreement. And I don't want to be the reason that you and Rita can't be together. I care about you both, and I don't want to come between you. Henry felt a knot form in his stomach. He knew that this was the reality of the situation, and it hurt to see the two women he loved in pain. I understand, and I'm sorry, he said. I don't want to hurt either of you, but I need to figure out what's best for everyone involved. The conversation ended on a sad note, and Henry left feeling more confused than ever. He knew that he needed to make a decision, but he didn't know how to choose between the two women he loved. Rita's siblings were shocked when she told them about Henry's betrayal. They had always known him to be a good guy and had been happy when Rita had started dating him, but now they saw him in a different light and were worried about how their sister was going to cope. They rallied around Rita, providing her with love and support during this difficult time. They listened to her talk about her feelings, her fears, and her hopes for the future. They encouraged her to focus on her own healing and the well-being of her unborn child. Rita took a break from her relationship with Henry, needing time to process everything that had happened. She moved in with her sister, who lived nearby, and started seeing a therapist to help her work through her emotions. At first, Rita found it difficult to focus on anything other than her pain and anger towards Henry, but with time she started to find joy in other areas of her life. She spent time with her siblings, went on walks, and started reading books that helped her feel more centered. Her siblings were there for her every step of the way. They helped her with the practical aspects of pregnancy, such as doctor's appointments and setting up the nursery. They also provided emotional support, listening to her when she needed to vent and reminding her of her worth. As Rita started to feel stronger, she began to think about the future. She knew that Henry would always be a part of her life because of their child, but she didn't know if she could ever trust him again. She felt conflicted about her feelings for him, still caring about him but also feeling hurt by his betrayal. Rita's siblings encouraged her to take things one day at a time and to focus on her own healing. They reminded her that she was strong and capable and that she didn't need a man to define her worth. With their love and support, Rita was able to find a sense of peace amidst the chaos. She knew that there were still difficult days ahead, but she also knew that she had a strong support system behind her. Rita's siblings, Funny and Tunde, sat with her in her living room, trying to provide comfort and support during this difficult time. "Rita, you know we love you and we're here for you no matter what," Funny said, putting her arm around Rita. Tun nodded in agreement. "We know this is hard, but we'll get through it together." Rita looked at them with tears in her eyes. "I don't know what to do, guys. I feel so lost right now. I never thought this would happen to me." Funny took her sister's hand. "It's okay, Rita. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Just focus on taking care of yourself and the baby. We'll be here to support you." Tun chimed in. "And if you need anything, just let us know. We'll do whatever we can to help." Rita smiled weakly at her siblings, grateful for their love and support. "Thank you, guys. I don't know what I'd do without you." As they sat there in silence, Rita's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and saw that it was Henry calling. She hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hey, Rita. It's me, Henry," he said, his voice tentative. Rita felt a wave of anger and hurt wash over her. She didn't know if she was ready to talk to him yet. "What do you want, Henry?" she asked, her tone icy. "I just wanted to check on you, Rita. I know things are hard right now, and I wanted to see if there's anything I can do to help." Rita felt a tear roll down her cheek. "There's nothing you can do, Henry. You've already done enough." Henry's voice was gentle. "I know, Rita. And I'm so sorry for what I did. I can't change the past, but I want to make things right. I want to be there for you and our child." Rita felt a flicker of hope in her chest, but she quickly pushed it aside. "I don't know. Henry, I need some time to think." Henry's voice was understanding. "Take all the time you need, Rita. I just want you to know that I love you and our child, and I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." Rita didn't know what to say, so she just hung up the phone. She looked over at her siblings, who were watching her with concern. "Rita, are you okay?" Funny asked, putting her hand on Rita's shoulder. Rita took a deep breath. "I don't know. I just feel so confused. I don't know if I can trust him again." Tunda spoke up. "You don't have to make any decisions right now. Rita, just focus on yourself and the baby. The rest will work itself out." Rita nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She knew she had a long road ahead of her, but with the support of her siblings, she felt like she could make it through. Rita had been trying to take care of herself and the baby throughout her pregnancy, despite the emotional turmoil she was going through, but as her due date approached, she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety that kept creeping up on her. One day, As she was getting ready for bed, she felt a sudden pain in her abdomen. At first, she thought it was just a cramp, but the pain quickly intensified and she realized that something was wrong. She called out to her sister, who quickly called an ambulance. Rita was rushed to the hospital, and the doctors immediately went to work trying to stabilize her and the baby. Henry received a call from Rita's sister informing him of the situation. He rushed to the hospital, feeling a sense of guilt and anxiety wash over him. He had caused so much pain and hurt to Rita, and now she was in the hospital, possibly facing complications. When he arrived, he found Rita's family gathered in the waiting room, their faces etched with worry. He walked up to them, feeling like an outsider in his own family. "How is she?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Her brother turned to him with a look of anger in his eyes. "You have some nerve showing your face here after what you did to our sister." Henry hung his head in shame. "I know, and I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt her. I just want to know how she's doing." Her sister stepped forward, a bit more composed than her brother. "The doctors are doing everything they can for her and the baby, but there have been some complications. They're still in the delivery room." Henry felt a wave of fear wash over him. He had never felt so helpless in his life. He knew that he had caused this pain and suffering, and he didn't know how to make it right. They waited for what felt like an eternity, until finally the doctor emerged from the delivery room. He looked tired and stressed, and Henry's heart sank. "Is she okay?" he asked, his voice shaking. The doctor looked at him with a serious expression. "There were some complications during the delivery, but we were able to stabilize both the mother and the baby. They're both in critical condition, but we're doing everything we can for them." Henry felt a sense of relief wash over him, but he knew that the road ahead was going to be a difficult one. He turned to Rita's family. "Can I see her? Can I be there for her?" Her sister looked at him with a mix of sadness and anger. "She's in no condition to see you right now. Just stay out of the way and let us take care of her and the baby." Henry nodded, feeling even more helpless than before. He knew that he had a lot of work to do to earn their forgiveness. But right now, all he could do was wait and hope for the best. On the other hand is Benita, feeling the stress of the situation, begins to experience Braxton Hicks contractions. She had been due in a few weeks, but the stress of the situation seemed to be affecting her. Henry's siblings, who were at the hospital with Rita's family, quickly noticed Benita's distress and urged her to see a doctor. Benita was reluctant at first, but after some convincing, she agreed to go to the hospital. When they arrived, the doctors examined her and confirmed that she was indeed going into labor, much earlier than expected. Henry couldn't believe what was happening. Not only was Rita in critical condition, but now Benita was going into labor. He felt like everything was falling apart. The families of both women were frantically trying to keep up with the situation. Nurses and doctors rushed back and forth, trying to keep both mothers and their babies safe. Henry felt like he was going to collapse from the weight of everything. He couldn't bear to see both Rita and Benita in such a critical state. Hours passed, and both women were still in labor. The families were growing more and more worried with each passing minute. Henry's heart sank as the doctor delivered the devastating news. He couldn't believe it. Both Rita and Benita had passed away during childbirth, leaving him to raise their children alone. Tears streamed down his face as he tried to process the news. He had lost the two women he loved, and now he was left with the daunting task of raising the children by himself. The loss of Rita and Benita left a gaping hole in Henry's heart. Henry spent months and years wallowing in guilt and regret over his actions. He constantly thought about the lives that had been lost and the irreparable damage he had caused. He replayed the scene over and over in his mind, wishing he could turn back the clock and make different choices. Despite his remorse, Henry knew that nothing he could do would bring back the lives that had been lost. He was haunted by the memories of the tragedy, and every day was a reminder of the consequences of his actions. Infidelity can cause a lot of pain and damage in a relationship, and it's important to be honest and transparent with your partner. It takes time and effort to rebuild trust after a betrayal, and it may not always be possible to fully repair the damage that has been done. If you find yourself in a situation where you have been unfaithful or have betrayed your partner, it's important to take responsibility for your actions and try to make amends. But it's also important to respect your partner's feelings and give them the space they need to heal. In addition, communication is key in any relationship. It's important to have open and honest conversations with your partner about your feelings, needs, and expectations. If you're feeling unhappy or unsatisfied in your relationship, it's better to address the issue and work on it together rather than seeking comfort elsewhere. Remember that infidelity is a choice, and there are always other options available that don't involve betraying your partner's trust. Lastly, it's important to prioritize your own safety and the safety of those around you. If you find yourself in a situation where you or someone you know is in danger, seek help immediately. Remember that you are not alone, and there are resources available to support you through difficult times. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated on our latest content. We strive to bring you high-quality and entertaining videos on a regular basis. By subscribing, you'll never miss a new upload and you'll be supporting our channel to continue producing great content. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join our community today.